What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm diving into a movie I just got out of an early screening for, and let me tell you, I have a lot to say. We're talking about The Strangers Chapter 2, the supposed middle installment of this new trilogy. Now before I get into it, let's rewind a little and set the stage, because my expectations going in are key to understanding just how badly this movie let me down. If you've been following me for a while, you know I've never been the biggest fan of the original Strangers. I get that some people love it for its simplicity, but for me it just didn't fully land. Then came Chapter 1 in 2024, which I outright despised.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
I'm not exaggerating when I say it was one of the worst horror films of that year. A total slog that felt pointless. But here's the thing. I actually enjoyed The Strangers Pray at Night, and that gave me some hope. On top of that, the trailers for Chapter 2 looked pretty solid. They promised something darker, something scarier, something that looked like it actually might live up to the potential of this franchise. I even went as far as putting this in my top 10 most anticipated fall 2025 movies. Then there's The Strangers Chapter 2. Yeah, that's how much I bought into the marketing. So with all that context, I sat down in the theater with cautious optimism. Here's where the truth comes in. This is not only the worst Strangers movie I've seen, it might legitimately be one of the top 3 worst movies of the entire year. And think about that for a second. This is 2025, a year already stacked with absolute cinematic disasters. We've had War of the Worlds,
Oh my god.
Crash and Burn. We've had Snow White implode,
And
The Home was completely bland, and Fear Street Prom Queen turned into unintentional comedy. That's the like of garbage we're talking about. And somehow, The Strangers Chapter 2 not only joins that lineup, that stands shoulder to shoulder with them as one of the most incompetent films I've had the displeasure of sitting through this year. When you're in that kind of company and still stand out as awful, you've truly achieved something special, just not in the way the filmmakers intended. The setup for the story is so thin I almost feel silly calling it a plot. We're following a young woman who of course ends up being targeted by the 3 masked killers we know as the Strangers. What happened after that is basically one long, never-ending game with tag. That's not me oversimplifying, that's literally the movie. She runs, they chase. She hides, they find her. She escapes, they pop up again. Rinse and repeat for 90 minutes. There's no escalating tension, no structure, no ebb and flow. Suspenseful filmmaking is all about pacing, about giving the audience moments to breathe so that when the scare comes, it hits harder. This movie doesn't understand that at all. It's just constant noise, constant movement, constant run or die with no variety. After about 10 minutes, I was already exhausted. By the 30-minute mark, I was annoyed. By the 1-hour mark, I was mentally checked out. By the end, I was actually angry. Let me be fair and talk about the positives, because they do exist. They are just tiny sparks of light in a sea of garbage. First off, the cinematography is actually impressive. There are some shots here that are clean, moody, and atmospheric in ways that do remind me of what a good horror film should look like. You can tell that that director of photography knew what they were doing, and in a better project, this talent would have elevated the movie. Then there's the lead actress, who I really think deserves credit. She gave this role everything she had, selling fear, desperation, and exhaustion better than most people could. She genuinely carries the film on her back, because without her performance, I think the audience would have completely revolted by the first half hour. And that's about it for positives. The sad part is, she and the cinematographer clearly cared about the work they were doing, but the script, the direction, and the editing completely betrayed them. Now let's talk about the negatives, because this is where things go completely nuclear. Holy crap. This movie is literally just one long chase. And listen, a chase can be thrilling when it's well thought out, when it escalates, when there are stakes and clever obstacles, but stretching that into an entire feature-length film is insane. It feels like they had the idea for a short film, maybe a 10 to 15 minute tense sequence, and then somebody said, let's pad this into a full 90 minutes, except they forgot that movies need structure, character arcs, and actual storytelling. Instead, what we get is the same scenario over and over again, until it just becomes laughable. Any sense of dread or suspense evaporates because the audience knows exactly what's going to happen every single time. There's no surprise, no creativity, no payoff, and if that wasn't bad enough, the movie makes the colossal mistake of trying to answer questions that should have remained mysteries. One of the core appeals of the Strangers franchise, at least in concept, is the randomness of the violence. The idea that these masked killers target people because you were home
Why are you doing this to us?
Because you're here.
is terrifying because it's senseless. It could happen to anyone, anywhere, for no reason at all. But here, no, they start peeling back the curtain. They start poking at questions like, who is Tamara? And why are the strangers doing this? And my response is just, do you even understand your franchise? Do you? The second you start explaining the unexplainable, you lose the very thing that makes the killers scary in the first place. Instead of being this embodiment of unknownable terror, they become over-explained, watered-down villains with lame backstories. Let's talk about the characters for a second because, wow, they are stupid, and not just horror movies stupid in the sense of making one or two bad decisions under pressure. I'm talking about Olympic level, championship tier stupidity. Every choice they make feels like it was written just to drag out the runtime, not because it made sense for the characters. It's frustrating to the point of comedy. Combine that with a story that barely exists, and you're left with nothing to latch onto as a viewer. You don't care who lives or dies because the movie doesn't give you a reason to. Then there's the infamous halfway point of the movie. I won't spoil what happens, but let me just say this. It was so absurd, so insulting to the audience's intelligence that half of the theater I was in literally walked out. I'm not exaggerating. People got up, shook their heads, and left. I've never seen a mass exude like that in a horror movie before. I just sat there in disbelief thinking, if this many people are living in the middle of a supposed horror thriller, you know you've done something horribly wrong. Whatever shred of immersion the film had left completely evaporated in that moment, and from there, it was just a painful downhill slide to the credits. And then, as if all that wasn't enough, this movie has the audacity to end on a cliffhanger. Yep, they're doing that to be continued thing. Are you kidding me? You just gave me 90 minutes of the worst horror I've seen all year. Now you're asking me to come back for more. No chance. If Chapter 3 actually gets made, which honestly I doubt, it's not going to theaters. It's going to get dumped onto a streaming service where it will quietly die after a week of bad word of mouth. The idea that this trilogy is supposed to be a grand reinvention of the franchise is laughable at this point. Overall, yeah, The Strangers Chapter 2 is nothing short of garbage. This is worst of the year level bad, and I don't say that lightly. Yes, the cinematography is solid, and yes, the lead actress gave a good performance, but those positives are completely drowned out by the tidal wave of natives, a non-stop repetitive chase, idiotic characters, a plot that undermines its own mythology, a mid-movie twist so bad people literally left the theater, and an ending that sets up a sequel nobody wants. It's a colossal failure on almost every front, and frankly makes Chapter 1 look better in retrospect, which I never thought I'd say. My final score is an easy 1 out of 10. That's just my take. What did you all think of The Strangers Chapter 2 if you've seen it? Did you hate it as much as I did? Or did you actually get something out of it? Do you think this trilogy should even continue at this point? Or should it be out for its misery? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below because I feel like this one is going to divide people. Thanks so much for checking out that review. I appreciate you being here, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone.